Recording in progress.
Recording in progress.
I love it. I love it.
10 minutes later, because now we have, just when I was bragging, and I've bragged all last week, and I bragged about this with the author events, that Zoom and Facebook were just like so seamless now. And now I can't get this to broadcast onto Facebook. So if you're watching this, I'm sorry that we're not live with you, but stay with us. It's going to be a great discussion about wonderful books that are coming out, and
whatever we decide to discuss.
Whatever we decide to discuss. And then we're going to also be putting this on YouTube. So promise to have this figured out before next week. And sorry about that, everybody. So the order is going to go Steve, Amanda, Gabe, and Tom. So with that, you know what we might have to do? We might need to do this as a webinar from now on, and people can just come into the webinar. So I'll have to see without live streaming. So I can do that too. But okay. All right. In fact, Amanda, no, I'm in a meeting. They'll all show up and we'll see them all. I was going to say you could send them the link, but anyways, I digress. Steve, start us off.
All right. Starting off, coming out tomorrow, the new novel from Dani Shapiro, Signifiers. I love this book. I love Dani Shapiro. And I think if you're a fan of her, you know that she's been started out writing novels and then verged into memoir. And mostly that's what she's been doing for the last 15 years. She had a kind of a breakthrough memoir with Inheritance, in which she, on a whim, sent away for a DNA test and discovered that her father was not her biological father. And that was a huge bestseller for us. And so this new novel, Signifiers, it is about, well, what she loves to write about is secrets, family secrets. And that's what this is the center of the novel, just as her family had a pretty big secret that they kept from all
I
their
love
lives.
you said it sold a lot of books. Where I was like, oh, kind of was a big deal for her too.
Yeah, kind of a big deal. So the book starts out in, I think it's 1985. It's the action of the street is basically on one, the novel's basically on one street. I can't remember where it is, but these teenagers, there's a brother and sister and a friend, and the sister is 17, the brother is 15, and the other girl is also around 15 or 16. And the older sister is drunk, so she gives the keys to her brother, who's never driven before, and they get into this fatal car crash for their friend who's in the car with them. That's in the beginning, so I'm not really giving away anything. So anyway, it involves a lot of those characters plus other characters who live on this street. And it's just so good on so many levels. It's an emotional story. The plotting is great. The characters are great. And she's just become like a master of the craft of writing memoirs and novels. And one of the interesting things of what she talked about with this book is how writing memoir has kind of changed how she writes fiction. And part of that is because in doing like memoir, like everything is happening, like recalling your life, it seems like everything's happening at once, your past, your future, what could have been, and all of this. And she wanted to apply that to this novel, to her characters, and she does it just brilliantly. It's so good. I can't recommend it highly enough, even though I didn't really describe the plot very well. But it's out tomorrow. It's Signifiers by Dani Shapiro.
So it's sort of like it's a novel, but you feel like these people are real the way that she's writing it.
They're very real.
Yeah.
Very real.
Love it.
And it's just got some moments in it that are just amazing moments, and you'll cry. It's brilliant.
Love it. Yeah, she's kind of the literary darling right now. So, yeah. Okay, Amanda.
Alrighty. So first up, oopsie, that's not my first book.
There it is. So my first book that I have for you is called My Pen is the Wing of a Bird. This is actually a collection of 23 short stories written by 18 Afghan women. So some of the women are still in Afghanistan, so they are writing under a pen name. These stories are absolutely beautiful, heartbreaking. You will feel a range of emotions when you read each of these short stories. One in particular that really stuck with me was a young woman who, after having 4 girls, not able to produce a boy, comes home from the hospital and walks in on her husband marrying another woman because that was her last chance to try and produce a boy, and she did not succeed. So there she is now, her husband taking a second wife to try and get that boy that he desperately wants. Each story focuses on different characters, different people, perspective of men and women, both in this collection of short stories. This was actually put together by a British organization, actually. So this book actually came out in the UK, I believe back in March, I want to say, with really great reviews there. And it's an organization that is helping these women, through with this book, and to have them have some sort of income, including those that are still in Afghanistan now. So there you go. My Pen is the Wing of the Bird. Really wonderful. And the great thing, since it's short stories, you can read a story at a time, because some of them are very heavy. I will admit that. But it's just absolutely a must read for anybody. So there you go. My Pen is the Wing of a Bird.
Not fiction or memoir kind of stories?
Fiction. Collection of
fiction stories. Okay, short stories.
Yes,
fiction. Okay, yeah.
All fiction, yes.
Yeah, I was going to ask you how it all came together. So thank you for explaining that, because it's like, yeah, that's amazing.
Yes. So it is an organization that is working with women and just providing for Afghan women in general.
So the 18 women, are they all in the UK, do you know? Or
no, okay. Not all of them. There are still a few that are still in Afghanistan.
Okay.
Hence the pen name for some of them. Some of them are using a pen name for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they were able to get these stories out from those women there to be able to share with the world. So
interesting. Okay. Thank you. Okay, Gabe.
I want to share with you guys today a book that we have been waiting on for a long time. Demon Copperhead, which is Barbara Kingsolver's latest book, out tomorrow. Starred reviews all over the place. This may be Barbara's most important books since
Poisonwood.
And Poisonwood was such a smart literary wordplay book, but loaded with so much stuff in it. This is a slightly different book in its telling. It is. So Demon Copperhead is, I'll give you the synopsis, I'll give you what I think. Demon Copperhead is the name of the protagonist, Damon Fields. Damon Fields is born to a teenage mother who has, been on and off the drugs and off the opiates and whatever she can get a good chunk of her youth. She's very young when she has Damon. So he grows up a wild kid. He becomes, so the narrative is told in his voice, and he is, we catch him as a young boy growing up, wild kid. We watch him growing up. We watch his stepfather. So his father's dead, long gone dead. He is raised by his high mother, his stepfather, who's also a big mess. His stepfather messes things up. Mom gets back on the pipe or on the opiates. So it's a big book dealing a lot with the opiate situation. Barbara Kingsolver grew up in Kentucky in Appalachia. And I remember talking to her about growing up there, and she's like, I would never go back to Kentucky. It's one of those places where it's just like I would flock away from. She's been living in West Virginia, for a while now, for a long time now, probably close to 20 years. And I think this is kind of in her apology to the area, to Appalachia. So through this character, we see his life, and we see the situations that exist and have existed in Appalachia, from the opiate addiction. Young kid ends up in the foster care system, so he gets in the foster care system. He's also a really talented athlete, so he sees the world a little bit with some successes there, because he becomes a little bit of a local hero. It is a novel almost filled with innocence, who, you know, grew up reading the Bible, and the Bible stories are as engaging to them as the comic books and comic heroes that they watch movies of and read comic books of. It's this world that has lost its innocence, the world that is a beautiful place to be, that has been in a lot of trouble. And we see all that through Damon's narrative, as it's his voice. And she's got a really wonderful voice here. This reminded me, it's meant to be it's Dickensian kind of a book. It is a social justice book. It is written in that vein, like, you know, that's why Dickens wrote. He wanted to affect change. He got into the, you know, kids, you know, 5-year-olds chained up to radiators, making fine detailed things. And, you know, he was very involved in the orphanages and exposing stuff going on, and trying to help the poor, similarly to, what's his name up here in California, who wrote up in San Francisco. Anyway,
not Steinbeck.
No, well, Steinbeck did too, but yeah. Seawolf and
Jack London.
Jack London, yeah.
Yeah, Jack London. I mean, Jack London's focus was also a lot on social justice. And then in some places, this book reminded me of Prince of Tides. I'm totally blanking.
Oh, okay.
Is in some elements, because it's epic, and it's kind of epic in its scope. So really beautifully told. It's a really novel that's filled with a lot of stuff, and it's a joy to read, because Barbara's got this great sense of humor, and our protagonist has a really Damon's voice is really engaging, and you know, she's a master craftsman, she's a master writer, and she's put a lot of energy into it. You could tell she's put a lot of energy into this book. So I'm really excited. People are really excited. So we don't have signed copies because Barbara's got some issues with her hand, but we do have like special tip-in sheets with a message from Barbara and her view on what she's doing here. I didn't mean to take so long, but a lot to talk about. Great for book clubs.
Yep. And we're actually we're part of you guys are doing a big group virtual event with her.
Yes.
And so we are part of that. That's going to be on November 1st. She wants free access. So if you're watching this and you want to go to our page, click on that, because you can obviously buy the book from us. We would love that. But you can also, I'm trying to remember who she was in conversation with. Hold on. I'm trying to get to that really quickly. Does this remind you a little bit of one of her earlier, like Bean Trees or Animal Dreams or any of that stuff, Gabe?
No, it really is. It really is its own book. It really is its own book. Honestly, I think as you know, in its scope, I would say, in its literary scope, I would say Poisonwood. But she really just, like, you know, got down with it.
She's in conversation with Beth Macy, who's a Virginia-based journalist.
Oh, sure.
Raising Lazarus. Yeah, dope sick. So that should be a really good conversation. There we go. Okay, somebody's writing it. Thank you, Amanda. Beth Doherty, I guess she must have, she's been out there looking for us, I guess, on Facebook. And she says, a historic moment in the pandemic area. I know this is the first time I think that we haven't been able to go live.
I know, it's hard to believe
we've done this. I'm while you guys are talking, I'm in the background trying to, like, how do I get back on Facebook? And I think it's going to be a bad thing. Anyways. Okay, Tom. Yeah, I think we're anyways.
Well, I guess we have to, change is good, they say.
Change is good.
Yeah.
Change is good. All right.
Okay, so my first book is Half American by Matthew Delmont. And he is a rising, this isn't his first book, but he's a historian at Dartmouth. It's the first book we've published. And it is such a timely, important book, but it's about World War II. And, over 1 million Black men and women served in World War II. They were at Normandy, Iwo Jima, Battle of the Bulge, you name it. They were, of course, serving in segregated units and all that. And then they get home and find that they're denied housing and education. So the GI Bill, states found ways to not let Black soldiers take advantage of the GI Bill. So it's a side of the war that is not. I mean, we've been so seduced by the Greatest Generation, the Good War, all of those things, and they are true to some extent. But this is the other side that we often don't think about. And there were a couple of things that struck me about this book. One is that Black Americans, living under Jim Crow in the South, recognized the fascist threat in Germany long before the isolationist white America, because they knew what was happening.
Knew the signs. They knew the signs.
Exactly. And then I was recently from the Ken Burns documentary, you learn how much the Nazis were taking from the American South, learning from how they were treating Black Americans, right? So that was really interesting to me, that Black Americans were onto what was happening in Germany long before the rest of the country. The other thing that, and maybe I should have known this, but I had never really heard of the Double V campaign, which was victory, a victory over there in Japan and Germany, defeating fascism. But the second V was victory at home, defeating racism, and that was it's just something I'd never heard of in my
I haven't either.
education.
But they're just not. We're not being educated. That's the point.
Yes, right, exactly. And we haven't been for a long time. But this was, it's not something that is being added later. This was something that was happening, a movement that was happening in this country to try to get people to recognize we can do both things. We can defeat fascism there, and we can, defeat racism here to some extent. And the title comes from a letter that a Black man wrote to a Pittsburgh Black newspaper. And his question was, should I sacrifice my life to live half American? Will things be better in the peace to follow? This was long before he served. He did serve, but is the kind of America I know worth defending? So I think we know the answer to that question. I mean, it is worth defending, but there was so much that was lost when these soldiers came home. So so I think this is for, World War II, there's so many readers for World War II narratives. This is a brand new subject from an exciting writer, and it reads great. It reads, like all the best World War II, Stephen Ambrose, you name it. It's for that reader. So this could be a great Christmas gift for someone who loves history. Right. And doesn't know this story.
Right. And that's the thing that, this one sounds like a bigger, more important issue than some of the, you know what I mean? This is because a lot of them were like, what was happening there and the victory, but this is much more rooted in what's happening here.
Yeah, I know, but I was learning on every page. So I think, that's half American, and hopefully it'll be a big Christmas gift.
That's what I'm thinking too. Yeah. Really good.
There's a couple of books written about the Pope Pius XII was the World War II Pope, but the guy that preceded him, who died under mysterious circumstances, had actually set out to, and that's probably in the book, I would bet, set out to. He had like a document and research done on the South, comparing it to what was happening in Germany.
Yes.
That he was going to publish and expose. That stuff all got buried by Pope Pius XII, who also seemed to traffic through a few Nazis through the Vatican during the end of,
I've got that book and I've never read it. The Hitler's Pope.
Right.
Oh, yeah. It's just that picture of the Pope walking into it's just like.
Well, it is, and it's so chilling. As an American, to think, World War II was black and white, Nazis versus the world, or whatever, but we don't put enough on ourselves to realize what we were doing and how they were learning from us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Oh, it's making my stomach turn. And when you go back, and if you're interested, you go back and what we were doing here in this country and the rallies that we were doing with Nazis back in the late 30s, back in New York, as a Madison Square Garden. It's just that blow
footage is unbelievable.
That blows my mind.
Yeah. Glendale, California. There was a Nazi park in Glendale.
Yeah.
That Ken Burns documentary, the 3-part, is just incredible. I learned so many things that I hadn't known through watching that.
Is that a new one? Is that the new one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
I've only watched the first part.
America and the Holocaust.
Okay, and what's it streaming on? Is it anything?
PBS.
PBS. Okay.
PBS. Yeah.
All right. Okay, Steve.
Okay.
What do you got? Well, you're next.
Next, out tomorrow also, we have got Paul Newman's memoir, The Extraordinary Life of an Ordinary Man. And I don't know, there's been a lot of articles over the weekend about this. If you haven't heard about this already, way back in the mid-'80s, Paul Newman asked a friend of his, a screenwriter, to help him put together a memoir. And they did a lot of recording. They also, this friend of his also interviewed a lot of the family, as well as some of other people who knew Paul Newman very well, mostly in the film business. And this was kind of lost. And not too long ago, all these tapes and partially written manuscripts were found in a storage shed at the Newman property. Joanne Woodward, she didn't find it, but she's still alive, and they found all this stuff, and there was a lot of material which is now in this book, and it's like a whole new portrait of Paul Newman told by himself, and now a lot of insecurities, a lot of regrets about the failure of his first marriage, how a lot of sex with Joanne. I mean, how hot their relationship was.
Yeah, that's the one article I read over the weekend.
And we can use those words apparently now on YouTube. So
right, yeah.
I'm not going to use
yes,
them.
we can. Yes.
Yes.
So anyway, so that's for any Paul Newman fan, this is a great read, a great gift. Extraordinary Life of an Ordinary Man. It's out tomorrow.
I just want to say, of course, I'm really excited about this book. And also, I was primed by the HBO documentary that Ethan Hawke did, yes, which completely blew my mind. If after you watch the Ken Burns, watch, it's called The Last Movie Stars, I think.
Yes, I think that's
because he took some of the material in the book, but probably not all of it, right?
Some of it, a little bit.
Yeah, and then he made it. He made it during COVID, and I mean, I love Ethan Hawke.
Right.
He can do no wrong in my book.
Yeah,
and
I'm with you.
And he because the tapes were destroyed, but they had been transcribed before being destroyed. So we don't have the voices of Newman but he got great actors to perform the voices on the tapes. Right. And it's just a great, beautiful portrait of a marriage. And I'm sure the book is too, like troubled and they took every twist and turn, and to learn so much in the movie. I don't know about the book, about Joanne and how much more she did than I even knew.
There's a lot in the book. Yeah.
So
is Mike Nichols involved in any way?
What?
Is Mike Nichols involved in any way?
I was thinking of that. I was going to go look at the index. I'll get back to you on that. I'll go look at the index. I'll be back. I can't think they were, but they moved in some of the same
stuff. They had to have moved in the same stuff.
Yeah, films together.
But Steve, have you watched that documentary yet?
I've watched the first couple parts, and it's really good. And the two things complement each other.
Yeah, totally great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There also, I bet there's an interesting publishing story behind this book. I don't know it, but right? I mean,
I don't know the details, or maybe I was told them and I've forgotten them all.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that it was David Rosenthal, who used to be at Simon & Schuster, kind of put it together, maybe with
you know more than I do.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. Ooh, that could be its own good story.
Paul Newman may be the new Mike Nichols, so just prepare yourself.
Just say, there we go. We're going down a rabbit hole that you didn't even see coming. Love it. All right, Amanda, what you got?
Alrighty, so for my next book, I have here Elder Flora by Jared Farmer. Of course, books about trees, super popular right now, but this book is kind of interesting. It actually talks about ancient trees and old trees. So that's kind of what makes this one stand out a little bit. So historian Jared Farmer, he looks into at the turn of the 18th century, naturalists were looking for what is the oldest tree in the world. So they kind of, set out to figure out about these old trees and look at them. So this book pulls from some sources of text from England, Germany, Spanish, Japanese, and Hebrew sources. So again, all over the world, and where these trees are. So they're studying are the big trees in California. So to Lebanon, to New Zealand. So kind of, documenting these really old trees and, finding these old trees being referenced already in ancient texts or in older text as being old trees. So it's kind of an interesting take, on the whole tree book. So there you go. Really cool cover too. Really nice interiors as well. So here you go. Elder Flora, A Modern History of Ancient Trees.
Looks really good.
Right. I love that.
And it's
cover.
so amazing to me, just everything that they're just like over the last, I know it's been probably longer, but it just seems like there's been all these tree books over the last like maybe 10, 15 years that it's just incredible what they're finding out about forests and trees and, it's pretty amazing. So thank you for that one. Okay, Gabe.
I'm going to do quickly Myra Coleman's latest book, Women Holding Things. My title is messed up here. Delete that. This is the book. It looks great. It is women literally holding things, but also holding like metaphorical things. So here's an image of a woman holding on to terrible mood. And here is a woman holding a pink ukulele under a cherry tree. So Myra Coleman's a very distinctive illustrator. This was actually, so this is what I really like. Woman just holding up. So it gives you a flavor of what the book is. She's a very distinctive illustrator who is prolific as can be, but it's got a certain point of view. This was actually began as a small little catalog that she and I think her daughter did, or her sister did, and it sold out immediately. So they kind of blew it up and brought that to Harper, and we're excited to be publishing. It's something fun and something to talk about with, looking at the picture. Sorry, my thing doesn't want to let me unshare. There it is. Something to talk about. It's a great coffee table book. I think it'll be a great gift book.
You guys just gonna say great gift book for the holidays
right now, for your woman friends, your sister, your mom. As I
maybe
said,
before the election, we should just be sending that out to everybody.
Yeah.
Hold up.
Everybody across the country. I thought about joining the League of Women Voters here, and it's just like, I'm not so worried about California. How do we affect things that are happening in other states? That's what I really want to figure out. Because
about 4 states. Those
are and it's like that, because what they do is really affecting us. So anywho, boy, did I digress on that one. Tom, save me.
I'm going to save you first. I'm going to report back on. I checked the Mike Nichols book. Paul Newman. They did not cross paths that much, actually. Never made a movie together, as far as I can tell. They did. Newman was in when Eugene McCarthy. Newman was a little bit more political than Nichols was, and so when Eugene McCarthy was running for president, Newman and Joanne Woodward were in Wisconsin stumping for Eugene McCarthy. They brought in their famous friends or friends of friends, and so Mike Nichols went to Wisconsin at that time. But that's about it. So there you go.
Okay.
Two equally fantastic circles, but separate.
Separate, but equal.
Okay.
Oh my God, I love her. God, I love this.
I know, I do too. And it's so exciting. they've come pretty regularly, actually.
Mhm.
This is an older book, I believe, that's just been translated.
Okay.
But this is really the book that is most famous, has made her most famous in the Spanish-speaking world. So this is Seven Empty Houses by Samantha Schweblin. I think she's maybe best, or maybe what I've read most are either short stories or Fever Dream, which is a short novel. It's just fantastic. She's really good in this short form. So Seven Empty Houses is the story, each is set, it's 7 stories in 7 houses that are empty, but not completely empty, because there's a lot of stuff going on in these houses when these characters enter. And it's tense, it's creepy. She always gets under your skin in these weird, unexpected ways. She's really brilliant. And there was a New York Times article just last week about how she's among the leading women who are Latin American women writers who are writing in horror and fantasy to write about the contemporary world and the women's place in it, but through these other, genres. I would say she's not of any genre.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah, I was going to say the same, because Fever Dream, because they were saying that it was horror. It's like, yeah, but it's just so good. I mean, I wouldn't have classified it as horror at all.
Right. I mean, I could see that, but it doesn't really fit either. No. So she's won, every prize in the book, just about. She's nominated for, this book has won prizes around the world already in its original language. It's now been nominated for, she's a finalist for the National Book Award for Translated Literature. So she's, Megan McDowell is one of the very best translators, and she's always translated Samantha Schweblin, and her work is incredible. So I love this. I mean, this kind of gets at, like, you're in for something special. So the New York Times review starts off, just when we're settling into fall, all cozy on the couch with a Netflix show queued up, a new short story collection from Samantha Schweblin is here to spit in your pumpkin spice latte and drag its nails down the wall. So if you like that, and who doesn't, Samantha Schweblin's Seven Empty Houses.
I can't wait. I can't wait to read that one. And if you haven't read Fever Dreams, buy it too, because it's so, I mean, because somebody just did a book talk or something on it just recently on Twitter, and I was cracking up because on Fever Dream, talking about the worms, and I was like, oh yeah.
I forgot. Oh, that's true. I forgot about the worms.
I forgot about the worms. It's like so good, so creepy.
Yeah, and it's just so original. All of them are completely original.
Yeah, really good. All right, lightning, Steve.
All right. Well, this will be a true quick lightning round pick. I usually don't talk about this author. He's quite well known, and he doesn't need me to really sell his books, but he has a new one coming out tomorrow.
We love him anyways.
His name is John Grisham, and this one's set in Biloxi, as the title will tell you, the boys from Biloxi. 2 friends on opposite sides. They grow up best friends, and then one's from a law family, the other's from a crime family, but he's great. He's John Grisham. I know that he has a lot of fans at Warwick's. So also it's out tomorrow. So get the latest John Grisham.
We need the reminder that he has a book out. We need
it's good, isn't it? Yeah.
Amanda Grisham, never here, terrible Amanda. But yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing, is that he's one of those comfort authors.
Yeah.
It's just, you know what you're getting, and he still entertains you every time. I mean, it's just like you pick up any of his books, and it's just like you're in for a John Grisham ride, and it's a great ride. It's a great ride.
He really moves the story along, and he really has a twist or two.
Yeah,
he's just terrific.
He's good at what he does, and I love me a good John Grisham.
Yeah.
So there you go.
There you go.
Okay, Amanda.
There we go. I've got my children's pick for you. Technically, I'm getting away with 2 books, English and Spanish versions of The Worst Teddy Ever by Marcel Verdad. Author is local to Southern California. This is a super cute little charming picture book about a little boy or a little child who is very upset because their teddy bear spends all day sleeping instead of playing with them. So they're like, they're always tired. You're not a great teddy bear because you're always tired. Why are you tired, Teddy? But then we find out that the reason that Teddy is tired is because Teddy spends all night protecting their little child, scaring away the ghosts and scaring away the monsters and making sure that they don't bother or disrupt their little child. So very cute, very charming story. Simultaneous release in English and in Spanish. So that way you have it in both at the same time, which is very exciting. Very cute illustrations. And you're rooting for Teddy because Teddy really is the best teddy bear in the world.
I love Teddy.
I
He's taking care of his kid, man.
I still have my Teddy, and it takes care of me every night.
My daughter has soft doggy.
Oh.
And she's like 30. Love it.
I'm 37.
Okay.
Next week.
And
I still have my Teddy.
Or no,
Yeah.
I'll wait.
I can get mine's like right here. Like 2 seconds. And I will show you my Teddy.
See, you got to do it for your book, man. There you go.
To show off. So this is Teddy.
There you go. I love it. He's still in pretty good shape for being that old.
I'm surprised too. He's a little Avon bear.
That's hilarious. Avon making good stuff, man.
Still to this day, my little guy.
Love it. All right, Gabe.
All right, I'm going to finish off with a really great children's book, middle grade reader, The Year the Maps Changed. And this is a lovely book that was published in Australia to many, many accolades and awards and nominations for awards and great reviews. Danielle Bynes is the editor, the author here. Binks is the author. And it is, it is of the time. It takes place in 1999. And what's it dealing with? Refugees. Where are the refugees from? In this case, they're from Kosovo, Romanian. Kosovo Romanians are being settled in this protagonist's hometown. The little girl is named Fred. And Fred is living with her stepdad because her mom has passed away and her father has recently left. Has had to leave. So she is left with her stepfather, Luca, who is expecting a baby from his new girlfriend. And it is a really, really warm book looking at the family that she has now, this new family that's been created for her. But it also is, of course, there's these people that need help. And there are, of course, people in the community who decide that we don't need to help anybody. It's every man for himself. So screw, really, protesting against the refugees coming in, as we see small-minded people do everywhere. And all that brings her community together. And she understands who she is because she has no problem with refugees. If you can help, you try to help, right? It's kind of like what you're taught. So she's got a very innocent, yet a very... she's had a little bit of a trying life, and she's just this great kid who sees the world, and the way she sees the world is because of the world that's been created for her. So it's kind of a twist on the nuclear family. She's got her own family that's far from being a nuclear family, and it's all over the place, but it's her family, and it's a family she's gotten. It's not a terrible thing. Right. But a lot of a lot of stuff going on in this book. Just a really, really, there's some really good stuff in the middle grade fiction world right now, and I really, really thought this was it's a little important book, I think.
Yeah, and it looked like it's got a ton of accolades, so it did something right.
Yep.
Yeah. Ton of things going on. Okay, Tom.
All right. Like Steve, this book is I don't normally, we don't publish that many books like this. But when we do, I don't usually talk about them, but I can't resist. The Karate Kid himself, Ralph Macchio, has a memoir. Yes, exactly. We all know and love Ralph Macchio, and the Karate Kid, maybe Cobra Kai, which is now
love Cobra Kai. I love
it. Big hit.
Oh man, I am all over Cobra Kai.
Exactly. So so he didn't
go wacko like some of the other
No.
He's not.
He's
Okay.
sometimes confused by people
Right.
with that other wacko, which
The
I
wacko,
won't
which
name him, but
we won't name.
They grew up at the same time in Hollywood. Yeah. No, he's good. Also, I will say that you may not be able to tell here, but he's 61, I think, and around that. And look at how good he looks.
He looks like he's the same age as when he's in the movie.
And they say
he's got much hair. He's got a lot of hair.
They say it's without any. This is all natural. So let's just assume that's the case, and
I believe it.
I'll believe it. But so not only do we here on this Tea Time love him, but the media loves him. He was on Good Morning America this morning for like 6 minutes because everyone everyone gets like this when they're around him. And that's what I kind of like about the book too, is there's no score settling, there's no bitterness, there's none of that. It's what you want from Ralph Macchio, which is a fun, positive read about a life that is shockingly, he's shocked himself at the life he's led. So look for him everywhere. And the headline in today's New York Times interview is kind of perfect. Ralph Macchio will always be the Karate Kid. He's finally fine with that. So that's the message of the book, waxing on.
Yeah. I love it, because that has to just be when you are known so strongly for just one thing and you can't get yourself out of that. That has to just be a
mess with you, right?
Just a mess,
And to come out of it, especially, starting at such a young age, we've seen so many young actors not survive.
Literally not survive it. So
So
all right, Amanda Q, you said you wanted to come on and do our final wrap up. So are you there?
Oops. Yeah.
Right.
So I've mentioned this book before, and I wanted to mention it again because it actually comes out tomorrow. This is Singer Distance by Ethan Chatagnier. My high school French accent. And this is a story of a sort of alternate history. If Mars made contact with us, how would it go? And we follow the story of these MIT students who are sort of guerrilla communicating with Mars, on their own. And it's a really beautiful story about relationships and the distances between us, whether they're literal or figurative. And it's a first book, it's a debut. I just think it's fantastic. It's from Tin House.
Okay.
And it reminded me a lot of the movie Contact, which I love very much. So that's Singer Distance, and it comes out tomorrow.
Love it. All right, so I'll do my little plug on events. Celeste Ng is coming to Warwick's via USD on Friday. So if you're in the San Diego area, join us for that, because that's going to be a great conversation. Have lots of really good virtual Lee Child and Andrew Child, Barbara Kingsolver, Anthony Horowitz, and in person, Andrew Morton is coming with the Queen. So love that. Gina Davis. We have all kinds of stuff happening at Warwick. So in person, virtual. We're going to figure out this virtual stuff here for next week though. So I'll be doing my homework as soon as we get off this thing. Trust me, I'll be doing some little googly searching on what's happening here. So I'm going to head out, everybody. So thanks everybody for joining us on YouTube, Facebook later. And Amanda, I'm hoping that you'll be able to go and put those books in on Facebook as it goes through. Maybe, I don't know, might be a lot to ask, but maybe. If not,
they are all on the event page, which we can
good.
We can share that link. But yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay, we'll figure that out. And there probably won't be a tea time email tomorrow, but it'll get combined with next week. So everybody, have a good rest of your week. Bye.